The bounty hunters. A job well done is exactly the kind of thing that... So how are these things going to imitate a community ripe for the stealing? Dad asks, and Slytherin pauses before swearing and getting right back to work. Several hours later, Slytherin is pulled away from his upgrading the beacons. The Imperial Army has arrived. He slips on his formal jacket and runs some axiom through his hair to tamp down on its more frizzy trends and tosses it behind his back. He joins everyone on the bridge in short order. "Hey, how's the work coming?" Jade asks him. "Almost done. I've got some life sign bafflers incorporated into the beacons now. I don't know if they'll be enough to provoke an event, but if they're working on something other than visuals, then it should." "You really think you can make one of those shimmering sands events happen?" "I really don't know. But nothing is going to happen if all I do is keep looking at data. I need to provoke more, and no one on Mordennon is stupid enough to build away from groundwater anymore. So I need to make the bait myself." "All right, ships are in scanning range and we're dealing with..." Suggestive," Airfarce says as he puts the visuals of the oncoming Imperial ships on the main screen, and everyone gets a good look at the giant egg-shaped ships covered in chrome. "How is that suggestive?" Pukey asks him. "What dude, you were the first guy here to have some hanky-panky with a reptile, and you don't think that eggs are suggestive? Ice-cold man. Can we not bring roundabout jokes on my sex life into the descriptions of serious situations, please?" "I don't know, Captain. Big ask that," Airfarce says in a somewhat strained tone, and there's some snickers. "Try anyways. Does anyone offhandedly recognize the make of those ships? It's not likely, but if something crazy happens and we have to fight them, I want to know. And I want Airfarce to know if there's any kind of understood weakness to the ships. Well, for one, they're not aerodynamic with a large rounded profile in all directions. Lots of shields and weapons, but a big target. Depending on how good their firing algorithms are, we could dance between their arcs all day. Looks like they've mostly got a plasma setup without much more than the occasional laser. Not bad for tearing someone apart, but you have to hit them first," Airfarce notes. "They're from the Celestial Shipyards, the Lablan Empire's own ship manufacturing corporation. They're dedicated space combat craft designed to follow the Empire's doctrine of locking down any system where their military is needed and then offering terms of surrender to their opponents. They value what they consider to be the ultimate high ground and work very hard to maintain it at all times." Lita explains. "Those ships are going to surround Mordennon and then send shuttles to the surface for the troops. They only ever enter atmosphere in the case of emergencies." "Right, makes sense. Have we been hailed yet? I refuse to believe that we can see their ships and their ships cannot see us," Pukey asks. "Their standard protocol has them maintain silence until the other ship is within effective weapon range," Latha adds. "Ah, okay. That shouldn't be much longer unless their weapon modals are really bad near planetary gravity wells." "Oh," Mr. T says calmly. "Not long at all. They're hailing us now," Airfarce states. On screen, Pukey states, and he finds himself looking at his Earthany opposite, buffing her shimmering claws against her uniform. "Greetings, Undaunted. Until you are dismissed from Imperial service, I am your superior officer, second-degree divine leader, thread of the 4th Heavenly Fleet. Which one of you is the officer of rank?" "That would be me, ma'am," Pukey says, stepping forward and saluting. "I am Captain Gregory Schmidt, leader and founder of this small branch of the Undaunted." "Very good, Captain. We will be setting up a standard defensive formation around Mordennon over the next hour. Then I will be sending a team to retrieve the prisoner from your vessel. After which, you will be released from your service to the Empire and allowed to continue with your usual duties." Thread states, and Pukey ignores the slight and offers a respectful bow, as Litha had informed him was protocol. "Of course. Thank you, ma'am. However, before this conversation ends, I must inform you of something I am hoping to prevent being lost in the shuffle of official paperwork," Pukey says, and she nods for him to continue. "During our apprehension of the former governess, she revealed an infant of the newly discovered species and threw the child at me in an attempt for distraction. The child is unharmed and in our care. However, we are uncertain as to what is the most appropriate actions to take in this regard." "I see. We will be sending over an additional doctor with appropriate medical technology to evaluate the health of the infant. Afterwards, we will follow the recommendation of the medical professional, and if the parents of the child cannot be found, then they will be placed in state-sponsored care. Very well, Pukey agrees. It would be best for the infant to be among her own people after all, especially considering that her people are so very, very new to the galaxy. But he should cover his bases. Is there a method of expedited adoption? Just in case? In case of what? My first wife has been caring for the child, and since her first egg is soon to hatch... Ah, congratulations. You have managed to get me off protocol without committing a crime. That is, in fact, very unusual. Also, congratulations on the child on the way. Now, as to the implied question, no, expedited adoption shouldn't be difficult unless you have, in fact, committed a crime while working for the Empire. However, it will rely almost entirely on the customs and rules of her birth species. New to the galaxy or not, primitive or not, these people are to be respected. Of course. Thank you for your consideration, ma'am. If that is all, then we will be moving into position around Mordonen now. Maintain your current orbital position. Thread commands them before she gives a human-style salute, with her shimmering diamond claws and the feet is cut. Well, that went well, Air Force notes. You really thinking about taking in the little wriggler? I'm thinking I'm covering my bases in case it becomes a thing, Pukey remarks. The little babe is plenty cute, and my Cindy is spending a lot of time with her. We've got room if Cindy gets attached, and I'm certainly willing to expand the dad energy enough for another. The contented sigh from Litha is politely ignored. All right, well, if that's all I was needed for, I'm going to get back to those beacons I've been making. Slytherin says, need any help with them? He's offered instantly by several people all at once. Oh no, I got it. Hell, it's technically ready now. I just need to run some quick tests. Slytherin promises. All right, just be ready to show up if something formal starts happening. The LeBlanc Empire has a lot of formal ceremonies and such, and like it or not, our crew is tied into this, for now at least. Pukey says, and Slytherin throws his dad a salute. He gets one right back. The shuttle flying over the troops to transport the now former governess looks more like an art piece than a practical shuttle. Comparable more to a flying chandelier, it makes use of numerous expanded spaces to allow the delicate framework, towing numerous crystals, and an abstract-looking engine to actually carry things outside the vacuum of space. Captain Schmidt says nothing about the completely impractical-looking ship, and just watches as it takes position in the hangar bay, and the gemstones hanging off it take position and form a doorway that a squad of soldiers dressed in pearlescent white. He salutes as they approach. This way to the prisoner, ma'am, he says after receiving a salute of his own. From what I read of your report, she pulled a fast one on you. She did, and while we would have liked to place her in stasis in response, she is afforded the right not to be. So she is within a tri-tight sealed chamber. Her greatest risk in there is potential self-harm off the walls and airlock door. Second greatest is boredom, but it's been less than 24 hours. She could easily have napped her way through it. She will have far more than boredom to contend with soon enough, I assure you, the squad leader states, and he nods. Of course. Hopefully this time without an unknown species, hidden passageways, and a literal baby for her to hide behind. There will be considerably less drama, Pukey replies. One can hope. The squad leader agrees with him. Very well, here we are. Pukey says as they arrive at the reinforced cells. He taps a wall panel and it lights up to show Governess Emerald Shell napping on her bed. Please confirm that the prisoner is in good health and ready for transport. Confirmed Adelie Emerald Shell possesses no visible injuries and is properly detained in a tri-tight lined cell. The squad leader agrees. Open the door, Captain. Pukey inputs the sequence that disguises the handshake with a microchip in his organic palm. The door opens and Emerald Shell begins to move, until she's suddenly stopped with Pukey holding her head against the doorframe by the barrel of his pistol. The squad lower their weapons, and without a word, Emerald Shell has her hands tied and disrupting energies flow through her. You may remove the pistol now, Captain. Excellent reflexes. The squad leader compliments him. Are you of Rabbi's descent? You're a pair of ears, arms, and a tail away from being one of them. Pure human, ma'am, but exhaustively trained, though I thank you for the comparison, Pukey says calmly. Now, Miss Emerald Shell, This could have been so much easier on you if you'd only come with us to begin with. Or even better, hadn't thrown an infant at me and tried to run. Up until that moment, you had the benefit of the doubt. This is the cost of losing it. Goodbye and good luck. I feel you'll need it. After that, she's pulled away, and with Pukey following as an impromptu rear guard, she's marched to the shuttle and into the doorway. As they leave, another figure emerges, an Undinus woman wearing a doctor's coat, and she walks up to him and flashes her credentials as Dr. Chakwa, a master of xenobiology and pediatrician. This way, please. He says even as the shuttle begins its takeoff procedure behind them, and he quickly leads the doctor through the chain breaker to the infirmary. They find Cindy gently playing with the infant. Hello, Dr. Schmidt. I am Dr. Chakwa. I hope you don't mind if I offer a second opinion on the child. Not at all. I'm a prosthesis specialist and surgeon. I'd be thrilled to have a proper pediatrician look at the little darling, Cindy says, even as the scorpion woman walks up. Excellent. Now, I was informed that the child suffered severe burns due to exposure to sunlight. Yes, it appears to be ultraviolet light she's sensitive to. Thankfully, she responded very well to accelerated axiom healing, and the burns, which turned her skin dark brown and blocked her natural glow, have faded away entirely at this point, Cindy explains. Very good. That's very encouraging. Her heartbeat seems steady, if a little faster than average compared to children her size. I'm afraid I haven't worked with many mollusks in my time. Thankfully, I am adaptable. Her breathing is facilitated over the entire body? Interesting, but not unique. The blankets she's swaddled in are loose enough to allow breathing and airy enough to keep the air fresh. Eyes are reactive, no signs of loss of hearing, Dr. Chakwa says before lowering her claw just enough for the infant to reach up and start trying to get a grip on her. Very curious and clearly inquisitive, a sign of a healthy infant. What have you been feeding her? She's omnivorous, but we've been favoring pulp plant matter with some nutrient dust on it to ensure she has everything her body could possibly need. I've also made a point of ensuring she has plenty of water at all times to make sure she doesn't go without due to the naturally cool and wet environment she's used to. Perfect, Dr. Chakwa says. I would have done that myself. Now, while I don't doubt you have excellent scanning technology, I'm going to place some sensors near our little friend so we can get another look. Thank you. I was just about to request it if you weren't going to volunteer it, Cindy says. Then this will go over very well then. It's always a delight to work with a proper professional. Dr. Chakwa compliments her even as she pulls out several scanners that she puts around the baby, but none in direct contact with her. Doctor, out of curiosity, how long do you expect it to take for proper first contact procedures to begin on Mordenam? Pukey asks. Quite soon. I can't give you a more exact timescale than within the first 3 hours of making landfall. I see, thank you, Pukey says, and she turns back to Cindy and the baby.